Hello and welcome into this episode of Capital City Sports. My name is Alyssa Lang. We're going to start out with some Gamecock football. The Gamecocks played the Florida Gators this past Saturday in what would be the last game of SEC play. So we are going to send it to Nick Jones, who has your highlights. Nick?
We were here at Williams-Brice Stadium as the South Carolina Gamecocks took on the Florida Gators for their last SEC matchup. This would have big implications for the SEC race, and the Florida Gators would not go down without a fight. Now here's to Stan Smith with the highlight.
It's the last SEC game of the season for the South Carolina Gamecocks, and you can bet they are ready to go tonight with SEC East title implications on the line. On the first drive of the game, Connor Shaw will take the snap, looks over the field, finds Demir Bird on the left sideline. He gets a huge gain. Next play, Shaw hands off to Mike Davis, who plows through the Gator defense and gets all the way inside the 5-yard line. This drive would result in a short field goal by Elliott Fry, his first of 4 field goals on the night. That would make it 3-0 South Carolina. Florida would answer right back, lining up in the Wildcat formation with a 20-yard run off right tackle by Kelvin Taylor, which would put the Gators up 7-3. Next South Carolina possession, Connor Shaw rolls to the right, finds a wide open Bruce Ellington, who gets a long gain for a first down. The Gamecocks couldn't find the end zone, but Fry was still able to tack on another field goal, making the score 7-6 Florida. Next Gators possession, Mac Brown would bust a huge gain down the right side to get Florida into South Carolina territory. Florida once again uses the Wildcat formation, with Kelvin Taylor running up the middle, making a cut to the right side, and scoring another touchdown for the Gators as they went up 14-6. Taylor collected both Gators touchdowns and ran for 96 yards on the night. At the half, the Gators would lead the Gamecocks 14-6. To the third quarter we go, as quarterback Skylar Morningwig would hit Mac Brown on the screen pass for a 28-yard gain into South Carolina territory. It wouldn't be a South Carolina highlight without Jadeveon Clowney making a huge play, as he would make the tackle on third down. Florida kicker Austin Harden would line up for the field goal, but he missed it wide, and the South Carolina defense would continue to shut out the Gators in the second half. On the Gamecocks' next possession, on fourth down, Shaw would roll to the right side, throws a perfect pass right over the Florida defender to Bruce Ellington for the touchdown, making the score 14-13. In the fourth quarter, with their backs against their own goal line, Sean Carson would get the handoff up the middle, bust a huge gain, almost taking it all the way, but he would be tackled inside Florida territory. Later in the drive, Shaw would throw over the middle to Rory Anderson, who would make a sensational catch over a Florida defender. On third and goal, Shaw throws it to Shaq Rowland in the corner of the end zone. Was it a touchdown? After further review, the call would stand as an incomplete pass, which would not please the crowd. Elliott Fry would line up and make his third field goal of the game, and the Gamecocks would take the lead 16-14. Florida would attempt to go for it on fourth down, but the Gamecock defense stood tall once again. For the fourth time, Fry would make the field goal, making the lead 19-14 in the Gamecocks' favor. Florida would get the ball back as Morningwig rolls to the right side, tries to find an open receiver, and it is picked off by Jimmy Legree. As the USC student section would mock the Gator chomp, Florida was able to have one last-ditch effort. As Trey Burton was on the receiving end of a hook and lateral, he would run along the right sideline, but he was tackled inbounds by Victor Hampton, and that was the last play of the game. The Gamecocks would win 19-14, with the SEC East title hopes still on their minds. And back to you, Nick.
The Gamecocks would finish 6-2 this season in the SEC, and next Saturday they will take on Coastal Carolina. With Capital City Sports, this is Nick Jones.
Thanks, guys. Now we'll switch gears over to women's basketball. Elena Coates was named SEC Freshman of the Week following the game against Seton Hall. We will send it to Jake Barber at the CLA for your highlights. Jake?
I'm here in Colonial Life Arena where the 21st ranked Lady Gamecocks look to stay undefeated against the Seton Hall Pirates. This proved to be a tough matchup for the Gamecocks as they went into halftime with only a 2-point lead, but in the second half, Dawn Staley and her coaching staff made adjustments that gave the Gamecocks a comfortable lead. This would be a tough matchup for the Gamecocks. Alicia Welch, playing tough defense, steals the ball at half court and finishes with this nice layup. Seton Hall's Khadijah Simmons sets up Brianna Jones nicely as she puts the ball away off the pick and roll. Later on, Khadijah Sessions finds Tina Roy as she knocks down this three-pointer to tie the game up at 13. As the half winds down, the Gamecocks would use good ball movement to find Asia Dozier in the corner with a three-pointer with about 40 seconds left to go in the half. Alicia Welch would end the half strong for the Gamecocks with this block to put it into halftime. Gamecocks hold on to a 2-point lead over the Pirates, 41-39. In the second half, Carolina looked to get the ball down low to take advantage of their bigs. Elena Coates finds Elam Ebam here for the high percentage shot. Coates would come up big in this game. Here she uses the spin and hook shot to put the ball into the basket. Ebam would continue to make high percentage shots like this turnaround jumper. She shot 50% from the field with 18 points in the game. Coates again getting the ball down low and kissing it off the glass. She would shoot 4 for 5 off the bench and was named SEC Freshman of the Week. Seton Hall's Brittany Webb takes it to the hole and throws up this ridiculous circus shot that goes in. But this effort was a little too late for the Pirates as the Gamecocks were too much to handle in the second half. Alicia Welch finds Asia Dozier for 3, extending Carolina's lead. One of the big plays of the game, Khadijah Sessions knocking down this three-pointer with the foul. Carolina would go on to beat Seton Hall 88-67. This was a statement win over a Big East team, and they hope to keep the momentum going into their next game against the Clemson Tigers at Clemson. For Capital City Sports, I'm Jake Barber.
Thanks, Jake. The women would go on to beat Clemson 68-43 at Little John Coliseum on Wednesday night. But now we'll switch over to women's volleyball. Haley Anders has the highlight from the Missouri game.
On Sunday, the Lady Gamecocks took on the number 7 ranked Tigers of Mizzou at the volleyball competition facility. Carolina came in off of a loss against Alabama and was looking to bounce back from a streak of hard-knock losses. First point of the match, Carolina receives deep and sets up a nice play for Jackie Angermiller, but her timing is ever so slightly off, forcing a tip across the net. A quick offensive strike that could have aided in the Gamecocks' early momentum backfires and the Gamecocks begin to trail early on. Mizzou takes advantage of the early errors as Tiger Lisa Hennings places a nice ball in between two Gamecock defenders. As the Gamecocks trail, Juliet Thevenin shows up with a nice kill, hoping to spark something in the Gamecock offense. Carolina ended up with 25 offensive errors compared to Missouri's 5 on Sunday. Carolina's miscommunications would lead to the end of the first game with a score of 13-25 Mizzou. Despite the circumstances, Gamecock Jesus and company seem to be having a great time as always. But on to the second set. Carolina receives and sets up Juliet Thevenin, who takes advantage of the blatant hole in the Tiger defense. Moments later, the sophomore Elizabeth Johnbull swung hard for the kill. She would have 3 total against Mizzou. The Gamecocks, however, would fall in the second set in a similar fashion as the first, 12-25. Although Carolina would be on their A game in short serving, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Carolina would rally hard for the last point but come up short on the kill by Tiger Reagan Peltier. A final score of 16-25. The Gamecocks unfortunately continue their 3-and-out losing streak. The Gamecocks will be back in action for one final home game where they look to finish strong against Arkansas on the 22nd for senior night. With Capital City Sports, I'm Haley Anders.
Last week, USC welcomed Stephen A. Smith to the Russell House to come talk about life working for ESPN. SGTV News sat down with him and they have the interview.
You're chilling very hard.
I'm incredibly happy because I love what I do. It's also been the biggest challenge of my life because it is the worldwide leader. You know, millions of people are watching you every day and every week. When you make mistakes, people know. When you fall on your face, people know. There is no privacy. There is no peace. It's highly competitive because everybody wants to be where you are. And you wake up every day understanding that while there are incredible advantages to it, advantages that you never dreamed of, never imagined, at the same time, it's an incredible level of pressure, and it's also an incredible level of responsibility, because when you're in my position, you affect a lot of lives. I believe I have unwarranted criticism every day, and I believe that the reason I use that is not to sound like a victim. I use it because I think most of the time I am attacked because people don't like me. It's not that they're even questioning the veracity of my words, because not only am I a journalist who looks up my own facts, I have researchers too. Now, you might slip. I've slipped from time to time. Just a week ago, I slipped and I totally forgot that Derrick Rose didn't have an opt-out clause in his contract. It happens. But I'm saying to you that I think that there are times when people look at me and they don't like me. They don't like the fact that I'm in the position to say the things that I can say for whatever reason. And as a result, that is the impetus for their venom. How all of a sudden I'm going to get in this position and all of a sudden be offended by it. It's called big boy rules. And I tell people this all the time. You got to have alligator skin to be in this position and to be in this business. I can't sit on national television dissecting things and people and the things that they do, and then all of a sudden it's my turn and I cower like a wuss. I can't do that. I got to be man enough to take what I dish out. And that's why I go about the business of being as fair as I possibly can. And people may not notice this, but I do not character assassinate people. I character assassinate what they do, not who they are. There are times that I want to go all in. ESPN doesn't come down and instruct you what to say and how to say it. We don't play that game. But it is owned by Walt Disney. That would be Mickey Mouse. And there are certain things that you can't say in certain ways. You can't say things because it's Mickey Mouse. But there is no job on this planet that doesn't engage in some kind of tacit censorship. That is just a flat out lie if somebody tells you otherwise. When you cut your own check, you get to do what you want to do. But when you work for somebody else, there are always conditions, foundationally speaking, that one must apply to. And anybody who tells you any different is a liar or a fool. It makes no sense. It's flat out ignorant for people to think that anybody can just say and do what they want, when they want, how they want. I'm here tonight. I'll say it to y'all when y'all are out there. I'm very, very happy to be here tonight. It's beautiful. If ESPN had called me today, the boss, you need to get back to Bristol. Y'all have got a phone call from me. I'm sorry, I can't make it. Period. They're the boss. Now, if I'm writing my own check, then I'm like, I'm going anyway. I made a commitment. I have to keep it. If it's on me, I take the same position. But the people who cut your check have standards that have to be met, and they are the priority. And if they step forward and impose their will upon you, 9 times out of 10, myself, like every damn human being imaginable, is going to take that position, because that's how you earn your living. That's how you maintain or elevate your quality of life. Like I said, we talk about keeping it real. There is real. It's also real dumb. And me or you or anybody else not listening to the people who cut our checks, that's kind of real dumb. And I'm not a dummy.
Now, to see the whole Stephen A. Smith interview, head to sgtv.sc.edu. And that will do it for this episode of Capital City Sports. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at CCS on SGTV and like us on Facebook by searching CCS on SGTV. For all of us here at Capital City Sports, thanks for watching.